Part 1. You wake up, check your phone, and there it is. A message. Happy birthday. And for a second, your body reacts before your mind does. Not joy. Not gratitude. Just that small internal flinch. The one that feels like being looked at too directly. You stare at the words longer than you need to. Then you close the screen like you are putting something away. You get out of bed. You brush your teeth. You make coffee. And you try to move through the morning like nothing is different. Not because you are sad. Not because you hate attention. Just because it feels easier to keep the day quiet than to explain why it matters. And it is strange how quickly that choice happens. Like your brain already decided years ago. Most people do not realize they are making a decision on their birthday. They think they are just being normal. But there is a certain kind of person who treats their birthday like a regular Tuesday, and it is never as simple as it looks. They do not announce it. They do not post. They do not mention it at work. They do not remind anyone. If someone brings it up, they smile, maybe laugh, and say something casual like, "Yeah, I forgot it was even today." And they mean it. Or at least they mean something close to it. In the US, birthdays are supposed to be easy. A dinner reservation. A cake. A little attention that feels earned. It is one of the few moments where people are allowed to be the center without apologizing for it. So when someone refuses that moment, people notice. Not always out loud. But you can see it in their reaction. That confused pause. Like the other person is breaking an invisible agreement. Because birthdays are not just personal events. They are rituals. And rituals are where society hides its expectations. The person who treats their birthday like a normal day is often not trying to make a statement. They are trying to avoid something. Not the party. Not the attention. Something quieter. Something that comes with being celebrated. You see it in small ways. Someone at the office brings in cupcakes. Everyone sings. The birthday person smiles, but the smile is tight. Their shoulders stay slightly raised, like they are bracing. They laugh at the right moment. They say thank you. But their eyes keep flicking around the room, monitoring who is watching. And afterward, they go back to their desk a little too quickly. They are not ungrateful. They are relieved that it is over. People assume this is introversion. Or modesty. Or trauma. Sometimes it is. But sometimes it is something simpler. Because the truth is, being celebrated is not always comforting. Being celebrated can feel like being measured. There is a certain kind of pressure that shows up when other people focus on you. It sounds like it should feel good. But it does not always land that way. Especially if you grew up learning that attention is never free. For some people, attention meant expectations. It meant being evaluated. Being watched. It meant that praise could turn into criticism without warning. So you learn, quietly, that the safest version of yourself is the version that does not attract too much focus. Not invisible. Just steady. And then adulthood comes, and birthdays become optional. You can decide what kind of person you are going to be. The kind who posts the dinner photo with the caption "grateful for another year." Or the kind who says nothing and keeps moving. But that choice is rarely just about personality. It is about what celebration feels like inside your body. Some people associate birthdays with warmth. Others associate them with performance. When someone says, "What do you want to do for your birthday?" it can sound like a simple question. But to the wrong nervous system, it sounds like a test. Like, how much space are you willing to take up? And if you answer wrong, you will feel it. Not because anyone will punish you. But because you will punish yourself. Some people treat their birthday like a normal day because they have a complicated relationship with deserving. They pay their bills. They show up. They take care of people. They might even be the person everyone relies on. But when it comes to receiving something for no reason other than existing, their brain does not know what to do with it. They can show up for other people's birthdays with full energy. But when it is their turn, something shuts down. They say, "You really do not have to do anything." And they mean it with a strange intensity. Like they are protecting everyone from the inconvenience of having to care about them. Or maybe they are protecting themselves from the experience of being cared about. Because being cared about can bring up grief. If you have spent years being emotionally self-sufficient, being celebrated feels like someone shining a flashlight into a room you have been keeping dark. It is not always shame. Sometimes it is sadness. Sometimes it is the sudden awareness of how long you have been pretending you did not need anything. And birthdays have a way of making time visible. A birthday is not just a celebration. It is a reminder. It forces you to look at the timeline of your life. And if you are someone who survives by staying in the present, that reminder can feel intrusive. You can go months without thinking about age. But on your birthday, people ask, "How does it feel to be 40?" And suddenly you are standing in front of a mirror you did not ask for. Even if you are doing fine, the question creates comparison between who you are and who you imagined. And for a certain type of person, that comparison is exhausting. So they keep the day small. They treat it like a normal day because they do not want to invite reflection. Because reflection can turn into judgment fast. Part 2, especially for people whose self-esteem is built on productivity. In American life, a lot of people learn to feel valuable when they are useful. Not when they are loved. Useful. And if that is your default setting, birthdays are awkward. Because birthdays do not celebrate usefulness. They celebrate existence. And existence is not something you can earn. So if your identity is built around earning, a birthday feels like a celebration you did not work for. And that can create discomfort that is hard to explain. You might not even know that is what you are feeling. You just know you do not want a fuss. You would rather go to the gym, run errands, answer emails. Normal things. Things that make you feel in control. Because celebration is a loss of control. When people celebrate you, you cannot fully manage how they see you. You have to sit there while they project meaning onto you. And that is where it gets strange. Because a birthday is one of the only times when other people are encouraged to say how they feel about you. To say, "I am grateful you exist." And if you are someone who has spent most of your life trying not to be a burden, hearing that can be overwhelming. Not because you do not want it. Because you do. And wanting it makes you feel exposed. If you watch closely, you can see the difference between someone who genuinely does not care about birthdays and someone who cares too much to let it show. It is in the timing. The person who truly does not care will mention it casually afterward. The person who secretly cares will never bring it up at all. They will act like it does not exist. And then they will remember every person who did not say anything. Not angrily. Just quietly. Like their mind is collecting evidence without asking permission. Psychology reveals that humans are constantly tracking belonging, even when they say they are not. And birthdays are one of those moments where belonging becomes visible. Who reaches out? Who remembers? So if you are someone who has ever felt unsure about your place in people's lives, birthdays can feel like standing under a spotlight you did not turn on. And that spotlight does not just show love. It also shows absence. It shows who forgot. And for someone with a sensitive emotional memory, those differences feel loud. So they avoid the spotlight entirely. They keep the day quiet so they do not have to see the truth. Because the truth might not be devastating, but it might be disappointing in a way that lingers. A lot of people do not realize how much emotional energy they spend managing disappointment. They think they are just low maintenance. They think they are just mature. But sometimes what looks like maturity is emotional budgeting. You stop hoping for certain things because hope is expensive. It costs something when it is not returned. And birthdays are basically hope with a calendar reminder. There is also the issue of identity. A birthday forces you to confront who you are to other people. Because the messages are not neutral. They say things like, "You deserve the world. So grateful for you." And if you are someone who has spent years feeling like you are barely holding it together, those messages can feel misaligned. Like they are talking about a version of you that you do not fully recognize. So instead of feeling comforted, you feel a subtle disconnect. You read the message and think, if you knew what my mind sounds like at night, you would not say that. Birthdays can amplify that loneliness. Because people say kind things, but they often say them in a way that feels scripted. And if you are someone who craves emotional precision, generic praise does not land. So you minimize the day because you do not want to participate in a ritual that feels emotionally inaccurate. You would rather have one real conversation than 10 happy birthday texts. But then you do not ask for the real conversation either. Because asking feels like demanding. And demanding feels like risk. So you settle for nothing. Sometimes people treat their birthday like a normal day because they do not like being perceived at all. Not dramatically. Just in the quiet way that comes from being a private person. When you live like that, being celebrated feels like being made visible. And visibility is not always safe. So skipping the day feels logical. But sometimes it is not logic. Sometimes it is just familiar. And then someone texts, "Happy birthday." And you feel that small internal flinch again. That moment where your body reacts before your mind does. And you stare at the words longer than you need to. Not because it is deep. Because something about being remembered always feels heavier than it should. And when the day ends, you feel the relief. Not because you hated it. Because now you can go back to being unobserved. Until next year. Until the phone lights up again. Until you feel that familiar flinch. And you close the screen like you are putting something away.